Welcome to episode 7 of the REKAP Bulls Podcast. I'm Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times. You could read me in, obviously, the Chicago Sun-Times. You could follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at JCowleyHoops. And look, this is an exciting guest because I finally got her last name pronounced correctly, even though it's not the way I pronounce it. But, you know, I just love bring her in because I don't even know how to describe exactly. Here's how I know Alyssa. I know Alyssa from the 670 The Score pre and post Bulls game show that she does. But she's got like 12 jobs. So you do the Score thing, 670 pre and post. You also have hosted on the Score. I know that for a fact. You for the White Sox, you do the in-house stadium?
So I go by the title of in-game host because when I say MC, sometimes people that don't know, they think it's something with music, and that is so not anything with music. I'm not touching anything with music there at White Sox. So in-game host is what I go by.
All right, so you are basically the same. Well, I don't know the dude's name that does it at the UC. The guy that talks during. Is it Todd?
Todd and Brianna, who she
he looks like a Todd.
That's what I do at White Sox. I am Todd at White Sox.
Okay, but the cool is I don't care. That's great. And you do betting stuff. You're a degenerate with some betting stuff. I know that.
I think you're actually the degenerate.
What is the betting stuff you do?
Okay, well, Joe, first off, thanks for having me on.
I'm so glad to have you on. I told you I wanted to have you on.
Yeah. So Joe called me and I didn't answer. So I immediately
that happens a lot.
And then I saw a voicemail. I was like, what could Joe be calling me about? And I love that the voicemail now breaks down exactly what you've said. So then I read it. I texted you back. I said, yes, of course. So here we are. I love that you give me a hard time and I just kind of laugh it off. I think that's our relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. I've known you now since when I started the Bulls it was 2022, end of 2021, but really 2022. So I enjoy when we get to chat, but yes, so I'm not a degenerate, but what my job with the Score is, I do pregame with Chuck and Bill. My in-game segments are giving the updated lines, and now I'm sponsored by Circa Sports Illinois.
Okay.
So, the over-under, the spread, and then I do the player props. And then for the post-game, that's really when I get to shine. That's the 35, 45-minute show, interviewing Bill Wennington, which is the best part of the show, of course, and then breaking down the game, breaking down the sponsored segments,
right?
Over under, if we hit that, the storyline. So yeah, that's my job with the Bulls. And that's where I have the pleasure of hanging out with you.
Okay. Here's what I want to see change with your post-game job. Okay. I want to see you guys have to take phone calls.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't mind that.
To me because I remember I used to do the pre and post game with Chris Ranji for the White Sox. Mm-hmm. And the funniest part of it was, speaking of degenerates, not Chris Ranji, but maybe. But some of the people that would call in, it'd be the same, like 6 people. And they'd probably, lots of times they'd have a couple in them, but some of the stuff they would ask, and the best part is seeing the host have to actually talk them down from whatever ledge they're on or whatever perch they're on or whatever. Yeah. I'm going to talk to Mitch. I want you to have to take at least
maybe that could be, a New Year's resolution, 2025, bringing that in. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think it's been like a little bit of a discussion, but the post game's already pretty heavy. And then, like I said, the top part is talking with Bill. And that's really where I feel like the listeners are tuning in. Sometimes the callers, they could be great. Other times you don't know what they're going to say. So it would be entertaining. I don't know if I would have all the answers that they were looking for, but I'm not sure everyone always does have the answers. Anyways, you could be my first caller if you want. We can, test the waters there. Just,
I'll do that.
Hard hitting right there.
And Bill's great. I mean, to talk X's and O's with or just BS with, because he's just like a natural dude. He just gets it. And how great is he to work with for you?
I really pinch myself truly every time where I'm doing the post game. And I start off by, of course, if they won or lost, I try to make a little bit of like a cheesy line. I try to engage the audience. And then when I bring in Bill, he is just, I could throw him any question. And he is the 3-time NBA champion. I am a 32-year-old female covering the Chicago Bulls. I did not play on the Chicago Bulls, of course.
Right.
So I could throw any question at him. Of course, I give him questions that have meat to it. I'm not just saying, hey, break down the game. We really do dive into it. And,
no, you do a good job. I've listened.
Yeah, well, thank you. And what I like is that Bill will take my question. He will expand on it, elaborate on it. And then I listen to what he says. And I think that's a lot of times when journalists are asking questions, they're thinking about their next question, where what I really try to do, listen to what the answer actually is and build off of that. And that, I would say, maybe took me a little bit of time to actually connect with, because I had my questions. I thought they were great, but I can just tell from the start of when I started this job up until now, we have so much, we have a flow. We have chemistry, Chuck as well. Nothing is forced. So working with Bill is just the best. I just feel like I've had so many incredible Bill stories. So far I got to cover one of the games last year when they went to play in Milwaukee, and I met Bill at the brat stop, and we sat and ate brats. He ate 2 brats. I ate 1. I had sauerkraut. He had double the sauerkraut. And then we drove up to Pfizer Forum, covered the game. I really have never felt safer in a car. We were in his huge truck. Yeah. He was telling me stories about when he played in Italy and how he met his wife. And those are just moments I really cherish. And it's so cool that, I get to work with Bill as well as Chuck. It's the best part of the job. Of course, we know, the Bulls can be entertaining here and there, but for me, it's really the people and getting to be in this position. And they've worked together, Chuck and Bill, for 17 years together. And they really welcomed me with open arms from the beginning. Here I am just, joining their broadcast team. And it's really been my favorite job.
How much, because I know, Chuck is, I've seen the sheet that he works off of and all the time he puts into it.
Oh, yeah.
Hours and hours and hours of prep time. What's your prep time like? And then obviously the post games, you probably, as the game's going on, are you jotting down notes? Because it's a quick turnaround where you're talking to an NBA champion. You just can't come and, like you said, say, talk about the game. That's not your job. It would kind of cheapen what your job is. So, pre-game, the thing I like about you is I always see you in the coach's interview for the pregame, which you probably don't have to go to. But again, Chuck goes to it. You go to it. Bill, the hell with it. He doesn't care. And that's great because that's Bill.
He goes to some.
So what's your prep? And then during the game, what I know how I'm doing stuff during the game where I'm trying to capture valuable moments or things that change the game. Is that kind of the same mentality you take of, okay, oh shoot, they're down 20, like some of these games, they're down 20. Oh, they're coming back now. Oh, Zach's getting hot. How are you handling it during the game?
So when I'm actually covering the game, I sit right above the tunnel where the players run out, the Bulls players, in 103, 104. So I'm there for all 4 quarters, halftime. I get up once. I get up in the 3rd quarter, run to the restroom, come back. I don't like missing anything. And when there's a minute left on the clock, maybe a little bit less even sometimes, I've become a little bit comfortable with this. When there's a little bit less than a minute, I run down and I sit courtside next to Bill and Rich. So anything could be happening. I've really over, the past few years covering the team, I was so like dotting my I's, crossing my T's, and that I'm someone that I've learned very much hands-on, and I just feel like I have such a rhythm now. So I don't jot as much down as I used to, which I think shows really my improvement. So when I get down and the game could be, on the line, or, they could be up by 15. Every game, as we know, is vastly different. So really post game, it is live. It is a live show. and anything could happen in those moments, before the final buzzer. But pregame, I know you asked about pregame. So I do prep, of course, at home before we get to United Center. The press conference really is helpful. So I like to listen to that. Of course, doing, the over under, I do the storylines on that, the spread, the player props. Sometimes the player prop that I wanted isn't going to happen because the player was out. So like Zach LaVine, if I wanted to do him the other night, can't do that anymore. Got to change it last minute. So things really change very last minute. And that is where I do think sports betting is entertaining, because say a player was originally in the starting five and then, 20 minutes before, that line's going to change because that top player isn't playing anymore. So you really have to be fast on your feet. I've learned that, especially with radio. I'm the one doing all the talking and all the scripts, and no one's writing my scripts. And box scores, I, of course, have to, find myself, which is easy to do online. But it's all up to me. And yeah, post game is always different, as you know from these games.
Right.
Nothing is guaranteed with the Bulls.
No. And pregame, in the media sessions, I ask the longest questions, don't I? It's probably a bad habit.
I like that you're so relaxed about your questions, but there's always like so much behind it.
Yeah, I kind of.
In a good way.
I like sometimes when I listen to the pregame, because we go right into the media room and listen. I go, "Oh my god, can you shorten up the damn question? It's like 2 minutes." And Billy gives long answers, so I guess Billy and I work well together. This summer, something you did was really cool. Mm-hmm. First female PA announcer for a White Sox game, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Obviously Gene Honda is a legend. Anyone that's going to Sox Park, I don't. Gene's been there for, I think, 100 years. I don't even know how long he's been there forever. How did that go down? And secondly, what was the oh crap? I have to know, because some of these baseball names. Mm-hmm. Who was the team? Yep. Was it Oakland?
It was Oakland. And okay. You know what? The players' names were easy.
Oh,
okay. I was looking through it and I was like, am I lucking out with this? There's a lot of easy names.
Yeah. So how did that go down? With the and were you shocked? Did you get a sense it was coming, or
no.
What happened?
No. The whole month of September, I feel like I was blacking out. I started off by getting engaged, and then 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in Gene Honda's seat calling a White Sox game.
Did you light a cigarette up for Gene in honor of Gene?
One of the camera guys did get me the fake cigarettes, the candy ones.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
I took a photo of it and I sent it to him. But okay, so this was towards the end of the season, of course. So we're in September. Team's not doing so hot, as they haven't done.
No, they didn't do too well.
No. Yeah. So I do my normal in-game hosting duties, and I think this was a 7-game homestand. So it was Wednesday after the game or right before we're wrapping up. And I have incredible bosses at the White Sox. I'm going to my 12th season, and it's really the people that I work with that keep me coming back. And it is very enjoyable, despite the team not being so enjoyable. So it is a Wednesday. The game is about to wrap up. And my boss so seriously said to me, "Hey, can you stick around? I just want to, talk with you after." And that's not really how we communicate with each other. Like, we're pretty open with each other. If something was wrong during the game, he would let me know. So I was like, I don't know what this could be. Like, I really had no idea. And there's no worse feeling than just not knowing what you're getting in trouble for. I was not getting in trouble.
Are you the type that instantly thinks,
yeah, I'm
getting fired, or I didn't think
I was getting fired. I was like, what did I tweet recently? What did I put on Instagram? What did I do on social media? And I remember looking back and I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I don't know what this could be. So game wraps up, go down in their office. My boss, Dan Milkey, as well as Jeff Chanel, who's incredible and has been there for a very long time. They closed the door and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, I feel like I'm in the principal's office. Like, seriously, I was kind of scared at this point. And they said, so Gene Honda is not going to be here this weekend. He's covering Illinois football and he's also getting honored as an alum. And I'm like, okay. They're like, we would like you to fill in for Gene Honda and be the public address announcer. And I was like, I've never done that. I've done so many jobs, so many. I was like, this is not a job.
Did they tell you why you? Did they say this is?
So I really just said, I was like, I've never done this. And they were like, you know how to do this. Your job as a host is harder. You're on camera. You don't have to be on camera for this. I was like, I disagree. Being on camera doesn't make me nervous. That's not hard. I was like, Gene's job seems a little hard. And then Jeff Chanel said, you would be the first female public address announcer for the franchise to ever do this. And I said, okay, I'm in. And for me, I'm always like, say yes, figure it out later. Right. And they are very organized. So I got this thick binder. And it is quite daunting when you look at it, but everything is laid out perfectly. So, went home, started studying the players' names, because let me tell you, there are a lot of relief pitchers, even on the White Sox, that I was unfamiliar with. And when I say that, it's because I'm unfamiliar with the pronunciation as well. Because, you go to games and I've listened to Gene thousands of times, but it's different when you're actually doing the act. So I prepared. Friday, it's a 3-game homestand against Oakland, and I get into the seat, and I definitely was nervous. And I'm someone who I get more nervous before, and then when I'm actually on air or doing the job, I feel like safe. I feel like, okay, this is natural. This is meant to be. So I was really nervous of sitting in Gene's seat and knowing that my voice. And actually, these were very crowded games, and I hate to say they were really crowded because people wanted to see
they were going for the record,
the losing streak. Right. They wanted to see 120, 121, 122 losses, which terrible, and shame on people for thinking that. But they were crowded games. It was a weekend in September, and I did knock it out of the park. To use the pun here.
Do they cue you up and say, hey, this guy from the bullpen's about, do they tell you when to announce it? Or do you just have to get a feel of it?
So early on, they were really, really holding my hand and helping me, which I did appreciate. But when I say the lineup, and it is, I work with a producer, and he, go. So it has to link up with the video board, of course.
Right.
Andrew Vaughn, pause, Andrew Benintendi. And like when you're announcing the home team, you have to use, I gave 100%.
You gotta be happy and excited. Yeah.
And then when it's the opposing team, you have to tone it down a little bit. So that for me, I think I was like, I got to remember that, tone it down for the A's, ramp it up for the White Sox. But there is, a cameraman up there in the broadcast booth. And they zoom in and they're like, someone's, warming up in the bullpen. They'll say number 62 is warming up in the bullpen. And I got to find 62. And I'm like, oh, who is that? Okay. And I have to make sure that that's actually the player that's going to come out. You have to, I really never focused more in my life on White Sox games.
Was there anybody on the roster you're like, oh, please, I kind of know his name, but please don't bring this bum in because I'll have to say his name and I don't want to.
I did talk with
either
Len
Oakland's
Casper.
or
No, I'm trying to think. I did go in Len's booth prior, and any questions I had, I said, "Can you please tell me how to say this?" I think it was Prelander Baroa, and now I'm probably butchering it.
No,
but the way that it's spelled, I think was pronounced a little bit differently. But for the most part, I was good with it. For the most, I really didn't stutter. I was very confident in what I was saying. I was like, when I'm saying this on the mic, it better come out confident because you can't really second guess yourself. So by Sunday, I was having a blast. I mean, I was having fun, but once it's wrapping up and Sunday day games, they did win 2 out of 3. So I'm not saying it was maybe me, but maybe me a little bit. They did end the 16-game home losing streak. There was a walk-off win. So for the season that we had, I had really good games that I got to call. And when Gene came back, I was like, Gene, I don't know how you do all that, game after game. I struggled with, I had so many beverages by me, no fun beverages. I wish I did, but you can't go to the bathroom. You can't get up. Gene has some hobbies in between, and I don't know how he does that. That's for me, that's the amazing part. I was like glued to the seat, knew I couldn't get up. I really couldn't. Like, I remember turning to my boss at one time. I was like, I really wish there was a halftime in baseball. The 7th inning stretch, I also had to announce.
Right.
So no breaks there. I don't think any game went into extras, but I would say it was truly the highlight of my Sox career, my White Sox career. I like doing different things. I actually like to be uncomfortable and kind of test myself and see, you know what, I believe I can do this. And everyone believed in me. And that really helps as well. When others believe in you, it's easier to believe in yourself. And I felt so like successful after. I'm like, you know what, if I could do that, what's next? I'll try something else. So
I mean, that's a ballsy thing to have to do, because I'm terrible at name. I'm terrible at your name. I've changed I've changed your name probably 18 times. The last one, because you're a fellow.
I like how you say it.
The last time it's Bermanja, and I do this
Bermanji. You can say whatever you want, Joe.
I actually growing up, I had an Uncle Tom. My mom's side of the family is 100% Sicilian. I had my Uncle Tom, Uncle Tom Bada, rest in peace. He would come over. Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it is, I'd have buddies over. He would change. If they didn't have an Italian name, he would change. Like Andy became Anthony. Dwayne became Dominic.
At the end.
He would just change it. And then if you were, it was very important for him that you're dating just Italian girls. And I don't even think like Northern Italy. He wanted like Southern Italy, Sicilian, that kind of look.
The bottom of the boat.
And and if I was, I remember I was dating a Carla Quagliata. He loved that. I dated a Mary Beth Vivo. He loved that.
Those are
like
good
if
names.
you dated like an O'Grady or even my wife, he probably would have been. He would call them all Americans. He'd be like, "Yeah, they're just Americans." And I'm like, "Well,
I love that."
Yeah. All right. So let's get to the Bulls now.
Yep.
The White Sox season was what it was. You get to come to the Bulls season, and coming into the season, obviously, what the betting line said, what Vegas said they were going to be overall.
Mm-hmm.
You see them at all the home games. Do you watch the road games? Do you put yourself through that?
I cover the road games.
Oh, that's right. You have to do the pre and post when they get. Oh my God, you have to watch them all.
Yes, Joe. I'm in the 670 Square studios. It's just me and the producers, and it's just like so much less sensory overload than United Center. Like, it's just got to be like a library. Feel like when you're there, I'm like there, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. The entertainment is top notch, but when you're covering a team and when you're like trying to focus, I'm like, oh my God, there's more tumblers going on the floor. I'm like, I just want to, watch the game.
Yeah. No, I got you.
So working in the studio, I love both. It's good to have a mix, but I love working in the studio because I could be a little bit more focused. Of course, TV's on a delay, but I listen to Chuck and Bill anyways. So yeah, I mean, tomorrow I'll be covering the Boston Celtics game as they're on the road.
Yeah, I'll be in Boston.
I love Boston.
No, it's a good time. How are you surprised by this team at 12 and 15? Are they what you thought they would be when you saw the Vegas line?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? How many games did you put on it?
Okay, so Vegas had them at 27.5 wins.
They're going to blow by that.
That's low. That is extremely low. I believe last year it was 10 more games than that. It was 37.5. And then the year before was 41. So it just like keeps dipping. But I mean, I didn't put money down on this year, the over under, but I kept preaching, take the over. 27.5 seemed just like, that's really insulting. Do I think the season's going the way it is? I feel like there's always games that surprise us. Like they lost to the Utah Jazz when they could have won that game. And then like, who knows, these back-to-back Boston games, despite being the defending, NBA champions, they could win one of two. So it's talk about staying on your toes. Like that's why the post games are always so vastly different because the games are never the same. I love watching the rookies and talking about them. Like I'm very intrigued by Modest Bucelis. Like he's someone that I've been talking a lot about during the post game. He seems like he has a lot of confidence, a lot of grit when he does post games with, Chuck and Bill after a win. He's so eloquent for being so young. And he's someone that I enjoy watching these young players grow and seeing how they grow from high school up until the, professional leagues. There's definitely some bummers. Patrick Williams, I could do without. I feel like every year it's like, oh, he's in this slump. He's in this, the next year, another slump. And then the last game that they just played against Toronto, he was the only player that didn't score in double digits.
Right.
I know he's had some injuries, and that is just how the NBA is, a lot of injuries. But I feel like so far with 12 wins and 15 losses, I think they can get, reach within 500 here and there and just chip away. The home losses, there's been way more home losses. Their road record is way better, which I think is interesting. I don't know. You know the team better than I do.
No, obviously we look at it through different lenses because you guys are the flagship station.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and I will say this: the one thing I know about Jerry Reinsdorf, besides that he doesn't like me, the second thing I know about Jerry Reinsdorf is he does hire, when he hires former players or he hires whatever he hires. He is, especially with the former players, whether it's Ozzie with the White Sox doing the pre and post, or whether it was Frank, or and then obviously with Bill and Will Perdue, Kendall, all those guys. The one thing Jerry I know tells those guys is don't BS the fans, because it's a smart fan base, or it's a smart sports town. That's debatable, but it's a smart sports town, and they know when you're BSing them. So I do think that for a flagship station, I think TV and radio both do a good job of being critical. Without, like, even Bill, I think Bill, he won't step out of bounds, but Bill's not afraid to toe the line and say, this kind of performance is unacceptable. This is, where my lens is completely different. My lens, I come into the season and my idea of what the Bulls are is, okay, they're on this treadmill of mediocrity, NBA hell. They seem to, at least when we have these, like, kind of, whether it's a private happy hour or private dinner, which you should probably get invited to.
Yeah, what the heck? Invite me, Joe.
I don't have that kind of pull where I can just go, hey, AK, we're leaving a couple of people off the list. Let's fix that.
Please.
So I think they understand that they are on this road of mediocrity, which is NBA hell. I don't know if they know how to get off of it, so 12 and 15 to me, especially with some of the teams they beat, whether it's your Washingtons, your Charlottes, your Torontos, those are teams that understand the road they're on. They're on the road to get out of hell, and you have to go through hell to get out of hell in the NBA. Where the Bulls, I kind of felt like maybe they're going to showcase and go hard for 30 to 35 games and then try and trade those assets that we've all talked about and then be able to just naturally dial it down, because you're not going to get Billy to lose. Players and coaches don't lose games. Front offices lose games. They don't. That's how you tank. The front office has to tank. So my expectation of them was they better know what they are. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a team that is a little too good right now for its own good. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I do know that people want the Bulls to tank because there are a lot of, good draft picks coming up. I totally understand that. For me personally, like, in a selfish way, I just try to, like, live in the moment. So, like, I'm not in the front office. I'm not living or dying by the Bulls winning. I'm just thrilled to have a job. For me, I'm like, I'd rather talk about a win than a loss. So I look at it from that way. And
but you guys get better You guys get better ratings when the Bulls are winning and playing well.
Yeah, well, of course, as does any team. But that's why I don't work in the front office, because I just take it game by game. But I do know that prior to the season, Bill was like, they should try to not be good. Like he was really like that, this is going to be, as you said, just a season that is in the middle. It feels very in the middle. And that's like you said, like really there's no identity. You want to build these young players, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like Zach LaVine might be gone soon.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, there's more rumors out there today, I believe, that is Denver a possibility. So it's going to be tough to move that contract because of the CBA and the first apron, the second apron, and teams trying to negotiate that money. I mean, that one's going to be tough. I think the first one that's going to go, as long as he stays healthy, is Mr. Lonzo Ball, because I think he, with an expiring contract like that and what kind of force and talent he would bring off of anybody's bench. I mean, he automatically makes your second unit way better, and come playoff time, that second unit could be deadly if Lonzo's on it. So I think as long as he stays healthy, and that's the thing with him, isn't it? It's always his health. So with your White Sox season, so you have to, during the games, I mean, everybody knows how the season went. You have to provide
entertainment,
happiness. I mean,
yes, but
is it hard? Would you hear from fans yelling at you saying, just shut up? No, we don't care about your contest.
People are honestly so nice to me there. Like, again, it is the people there. I do have to say so I started in 2013 at the White Sox. I started in a marketing role, the Pride Crew. So I was like tossing teas, doing the promotions, picking the contestants. And then they were like, oh, we need an in-game host. Alyssa, you studied broadcast journalism. Like, let's give this a go for you. So my audition was really just in season in front of everyone. I also worked with the Schaumburg Boomers, and that's for another podcast. But so I just started, getting to know the fans that way, starting to do the emceeing in 2017. And when the pandemic happened, I was like, just not the best version of myself, because I did go from, I had 6 like freelance jobs, like 6 good jobs. I said
you have so many jobs.
I did. That is like, now I'm happy that I have watered it down. That's the goal. But I was doing high school lights on NBC Sports Chicago, and I was so excited about that. I was doing White Sox. I was doing Comcast Network. I like a multitude of different jobs, and those all got washed away. And I was like, this is terrible. Like, I don't know how I'm going to come back from this. I didn't know if my role was going to be there still at the White Sox. Like, truly, my job could have been easily squashed. Budgeting,
Right.
Everyone was weird about people being by each other. So when I came back from COVID, I looked at this job in like a totally different perspective. I wasn't as, I don't want to say buttoned up, but I was looser. I'm like, this is a baseball game. I, get to speak in front of, when it's crowded, 40,000 fans, regardless of, the month or the amount of fans. Like, I take each game the same, and I give it 100%. And I looked at it from that perspective, like a bigger picture. Like, I'm doing what I love. I'm working for the team I grew up loving. So I think since that, I'm happy when I'm there. And I sound insane. Like, people are literally like, I can't believe you're still doing that job. How are you smiling here? I'm like, we're in a baseball game. I'm not in the ER cutting someone's heart open. Like, it's all fine, people. It's all good. Yes, they're having these losses. We've lost a ton of players. But I go into it, I leave any problems I have at the door.
You don't strike me as someone that comes to work with dark thoughts.
No, and I'm not saying
when you look at me, you're like, that dude's probably got some dark thoughts in his head walking down the hallway.
It's not that I do have like shitty days, as we all do, but I'm like, I gotta leave that. No one likes to be around people that are complainers, that are down in the dumps. Like, who wants to work with someone like that, especially in the sports scene? You are not someone that is down in the dumps. You're just like super
cranky some days.
But like, we're all cranky. That's just life.
No.
But no, I mean, people are super friendly to me there. They, people always want to be on camera, and when I have the opportunity, I make sure to get them on camera. It could be someone's first game. It could be their 100th game. It really doesn't matter. My job is just to make sure that they're, having a good experience, because even like from the time that you park, it could parking sucks. Like regardless of where you're at in the city, it's terrible. That could just put you in a bad mood. And then you're paying for a ticket, you're bringing in your kids that have snot everywhere. Like you could be stressed out. I want to make sure that they're having a good time at the ballpark. And if they see a losing game, I can't control that. I can control them having, if they get a t-shirt or if they get a, some free giveaway that we have, or they're on the big screen for 2.5 seconds. I feel like I've done my job then. If just someone's having a better day, then.
With the Bulls thing, obviously because you're on pre and post game, and I just know this just from my teammate at Sun-Times, Annie, who does a fantastic job with the WNBA.
Love Annie.
I used to have Madeline Kenny at Sun-Times. She was great.
Yeah.
Because on social media, there's still people that are pretty vicious especially with females in this business. Yeah. Have you gotten any of that that's been bothersome? Where shut up, blah blah blah. You don't know,
Yeah, I would say when I did fill in for Jean, and White Sox did make a really nice post about me, and a lot of really, really nice comments, but then there's like the losers on there. They're like, how much time did she spend in the kitchen? I'm like, first off, I'm Italian. I love being in the kitchen. Like, how is that an insult? Or people say things like, oh, her voice sounds like a little boy. I'm like, that you really took the time.
Doesn't sound like a little boy.
Yeah, I would say for the most part,
everyone was supportive, and there wasn't.
Yeah, I've in working in the industry overall, like I've had a good experience with everyone that I've worked with, whether it's Ryan McGuffey at NBC Sports Chicago, or you at the Bulls.
Watch out for that McGuffey.
Chuck and Bill. Like I work with males that respect me, and I respect them back. I think, you can look into the comments, and I mean, Twitter sucks. Like I've learned what to say and what not to say. So
I haven't.
You might be able to take it a little bit more than me. I learned my lesson a few times, and I said that was terrifying. Right. And I will not be talking about that anymore. But no, I'm fortunate, and I say this now, and hopefully it stays the same. But I'm fortunate to not have had cross paths with anyone that's I want to knock out.
I got you. All right, a couple things before I get you out of here. Some fun things. All right, I always kid around with you.
You're having so much fun.
That? I know.
We're done so soon.
I know, but my attention span on these podcasts,
are short.
Like I told Ryan, I'm load management. I'm good for about 40, 45 minutes.
I get it.
So I always kid around with you and the younger people that are, around there. Call you guys the Scooby Gang, and young Will Gottlieb and Cody and all those guys. Because I like pretending I'm the crotchety old man. I'm going to give you a list of names, and some of these I did not. They're not athletes. They're like famous pop culture people. Just to see the age difference in this, because I did not know some of these people, and I was it showed how out of touch I am. All right, you ready? You tell me if you've heard of this person.
Just if I've heard of them, just in general.
Yeah, and if you could explain what they are, who they are. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Brecky Hill.
Not familiar.
Okay, it's a girl that's involved in some home wrecking incident that I guess every high school person knows. I don't know.
I'm not in high school. I
know. I'm just saying. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Gabe Cotter.
No. Did you come up with this one?
This is my guy. Welcome back, Cotter.
Okay.
Josh Richards. Do you know who Josh Richards is?
Is he one of the podcasters?
There you go. Bing, bing, bing. You got
it.
Yeah, he's a big time. He was named in the top 20 podcasters.
He was on the BFFs one with Dave Portnoy.
Yes. Gracie Abrams.
Yeah. She opened for Taylor Swift.
Okay. I'm watching Saturday Night Live, and I'm like, I have no idea who that is.
She's good. She's got some bops.
Vinny Barbarino.
No, but can I be friends with him? And He probably makes some good lasagna.
That was John Travolta's first character again on Welcome Back, Kotter, one of the greatest shows.
What?
All right, ready? This is a good one.
I don't know the show.
It just shows the difference. Carl Koshak.
No.
Anything?
No.
Oh my God, there was a great show in the 70s called Kolchak, and it kind of made me want to be a journalist.
Is that why? Is that why you're?
Yeah,
in
it's honest to God. Honest to God, he was a kind of a degenerate journalist who hunted down monsters, and I'm like, I want to do that. I didn't want to be in sports.
Okay.
Are you ready? This is something we do called the interrogation room.
Okay.
Don't overthink it.
You don't already do this to me all the time.
I know. Don't overthink. I won't ask you about your engagement. I won't.
You can.
Like that.
You can.
What's a better day for you? A sunny day at the Sox ballpark or a nice night at the United Center and the Lakers are in town?
Sunny day at White Sox. Hands down.
Okay.
Serotonin boost.
Derrick Rose night's upcoming in January. Derrick Rose's jersey, they should retire it or they should not retire it. He hasn't done enough.
They absolutely should. And I am very upset because I won't be at that game.
Ooh, that's a big game to lose.
I know. I know.
Okay.
These damn weddings.
The Chuck dance. Keep it or lose it?
Keep it. And I want to make him viral somehow. You're giving me those eyes. That is why I want the Bulls to have winning games. Because
do you ever help him with dancing?
No, he doesn't. No, he's never asked once for any help or nothing. Those are all.
I love Chuck. I've had Chuck on here.
Moves.
They're original. I want him not to do the dance.
Why?
Oh my God, it's horrifying.
Then you know what? You do it, Joe. Let's see how people respond.
We actually had we can't call it a bet because Chuck would get upset, but I think it was Chuck was very convinced they were going to make the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And I said, if they make the playoffs, I'll do a dance with you on the post game.
So you didn't get to.
I knew that was a winner for me. What's your favorite Bulls moment since you've been doing pre and post game?
I really did love last year's Ring of Honor. Not necessarily the actual game, the dinner that I got to go to.
I was at the dinner.
That was, and
we were at the same table.
I know, and we couldn't take photos, and I know Michael Jordan wasn't there, but I felt like so important, and I don't always feel so important. I've never been invited to something like that.
Oh, they probably wanted to escort me out. I remember I had a couple of drinks in me, and then I found out Jason Goff's wife is a sex therapist. So I moved my chair down next to her, and Goff's like, dude, what are you doing?
I think I sat across from them.
You were across from me, probably just mortified.
No, you were on the end. You were on the end, ignoring me.
I was not. Better food. The Rate. It's now called The Rate or the United Center.
The Rate. I mean, what is at the United Center? Nothing.
They have some private little hidden places that you can eat.
But as just a normal fan walking in with a normal ticket, The Rate, White Sox Stadium, Elotes, Comiskey dog, Cubano.
That big stupid
milkshake,
diabetes milkshake.
It's actually
in a coma.
It's good.
All right, this is the an important one. There is a bus with the Bulls beat writers on it, and a bus with the White Sox beat writers on it, and they're both headed towards a cliff. You can only save one. Which bus are you saving? Think it through.
I can only save the Bulls.
You can only save one bus. It's either the White Sox beat writers or the Bulls beat writers.
I'm saving the one that Scott Merkin's on.
What? Here's what I'm talking about. Okay. Daryl, I love Daryl. He works at my paper. He's 85 years old.
No, he's not.
Merkin, not married. No one would miss him except his housekeeper. He's like 70 years old. And then who's for the Tribune? Lamont Pope?
I'm saving White Sox. I'm more allegiance to them. I've worked longer with them.
Know. You have me. You have KC. We both have kids, wives. Julia, she's got a dog. Young Will Gottlieb. He's like engaged like you. You're heartless.
He's not engaged. But you guys could fend for yourself. I think I'm saving White Sox.
Merkin cannot fend for himself, but still, Merk's got to go. I can't believe
you guys can fend for yourself. You're fine. I'm not worried about you. It'll come out alive somehow.
Thanks for coming on. Bergamanja.
Bergamini. Thanks, Joe Cowley.
I will see you
Saturday.
whenever the next home game is.
Saturday.
Steelers-Ravens that day. We'll see.
Well, it is the Boston Celtics, so see you at the UC.
I will see you soon, and thanks for coming on and doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Alyssa Bergamini. It took me a while to get that pronunciation down, but we've got it down. Let's go to Cowley Island. Touched on it a little bit. Look at it. Cowley Island rant. Love it. Look, I'm 12-15, and the teams they're beating are really starting to make me nervous. 12-15 puts them at 27 total games. I'm willing to give grace still. They got Boston's coming up too. I think it's a couple Boston games coming up. But if they're going to pull this off and do this the right way, they really have to start looking at the landscape and not just what's going on in their own house. They need to start looking at the landscape of the teams that are actually all in on this tanking and doing it the right way. Toronto, Charlotte, who they just beat both of those teams. Washington, who I've already touched on this podcast before. You have people in that organization that have openly come out and said, hey, we are taking this year and we are making this a 2-year tank, 25 and 26, because the 26 draft class is also pretty loaded. So I'm willing to give grace for about another week or maybe towards the end of December. There is some trade movement. I think the Dennis Schroeder trade kind of makes the line move a little bit. But boys, AK, Mark, ownership, someone has to save them from themselves, because the last thing that could happen is this thing gets to mid-January and they look and they're like, 2 games out of the play-in, asses in the seats come April. Let's just go for it. It would be disastrous. It would set them back. Doesn't just set them back a year, because this then sets you back. Well, you've kept guys that you could have traded for more assets. This sets you back another 5 years of mediocrity. You can't, that's how you have to look at it, because, okay, well, we could try and reset and trade Zach this offseason, or we could always revisit trading Patrick. No, you need to start this thing now with this 25 draft class. And my fear is that they're going to look and see that they're in that mid-range area of striking distance of the play-in and not understand the end game. So 12-15 makes me a little nervous. It makes me a little nervous, not just because of what they're doing, because I see what the teams below them and their mindset. And there's some teams they're just not going to catch. They can't suck worse than those teams. So please, someone there, grab control of the steering wheel and get this thing headed in the right direction, which is down into a tree. That's where it needs to go. So let's hope that they can figure this thing out. And finally, the list. Beautiful. Look at it. It's gorgeous. The list. I mentioned Dennis Schroeder and the line moving, the trade line moving. That's significant because Dennis Schroeder is a expiring contract. He's a point guard that is playing really well. He's not going to a team that's going to be a starter. He went to a team to add depth. That fits the description of somebody the Bulls have. So here's the list of pieces that have to move as we get towards February 6th trade deadline. Number one, Brandon Ingram. I definitely think New Orleans understands that the boat is on fire. I don't think they have the guts or the onions to say, let's trade Zion and let's get rid of that headache. So I think Brandon Ingram, because of the expiring contract, I think Brandon Ingram is the first big chess piece to move. Second, I think there is going to be some teams. I don't know if they could pull it off because of the money and because he does have say of the last year of his contract, but Jimmy Butler would be a huge get for some teams. Obviously, Golden State was rumored to be there. I don't think them getting Dennis Schroeder changes things because supposedly they still are going after a big fish. And their ownership doesn't really care about tax. They don't care about second aprons. They don't care about penalties. They care about, we only have Steph Curry X amount of years. The window is almost closed. Let's see if we can get something else out of it. So I don't think the apron really, they'll pay the penalty and kick the can down the road. So Jimmy Butler, number 2. And then I think that's where Lonzo Ball fits in. I think Lonzo Ball is number 3 on that list. And then I'm going to go and say Vooch. I think if Vooch continues to do what he does, watch the Lakers, watch D'Angelo Russell, the money fits. There is some things that would have to be kicked around because of the cap that the apron that the Lakers are in. But I think smart GMs will figure it out and get it done. So I think 2 of the Bulls are on that top 4 list. But to me, the first piece that has to move is Mr. Ingram from New Orleans. And I think New Orleans is going to be a team to watch because will the fire sale just be him, or do they have something bigger up their sleeve where they say, the Zion thing is no longer working out? And to be honest, if you're the Bulls, do you try getting in on the Zion piece? And if you have to move some pieces to get him, because injury-wise, you could shut him down for the rest of the year, take your tank beating, and have him healthy, fix his body, fix his mind. I mean, it's at least something to kick around. When you're a desperate team looking for superstars, you're not going to get him in free agency. Why not get him in trade? So that's it. I want to thank Alyssa. I want to thank Ryan for the awesome graphics. And remember, I got next.